At this summit, we rallied our alliances to meet both the direct threats of Russia poses to Europe and the systemic challenges that China poses to a rules-based world order. And we've invited 2 new members to join NATO. It was a historic act, Finland and Sweden, 2 countries with a long tradition of neutrality and choosing to join NATO.
President Biden at the NATO summit in Spain this past week as Russia's brutal assault on civilian targets in Ukraine continues. ABC's James Longman is live in Odessa with the very latest. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, Martha. There have been a series of explosions in southern Russia this morning, right on the border with Ukraine. Now, Kyiv has never taken responsibility for targeting anywhere inside Russia before, but this is after a week of pretty serious missiles attacks on Ukraine. And this is as Russia is now claiming to have taken the entire Luhansk region of the Donbass.
Vladimir Putin rained down fury on Ukraine this week, with the G7 and NATO meetings putting the war back in focus. Russia stepped up its missile attacks across the country against mostly civilian targets. This apartment building outside Odessa hit Friday, killing 16 people in the middle of the night.
This community is trying to come to terms with what happened. I mean, take a look. It hit right in the heart of this neighborhood. And up here, you can see every single level of this building has been impacted by the force of the blast.
A similar story in Kremenchuk, where a mall and factory were targeted. This security footage captures the moment of the strike. Massive anti-ship Soviet missiles used on civilian targets. Russia denying they hit the mall, spreading misinformation instead, claiming it was closed and being used to store munitions.
You see this recovery operation underway now. They're trying to get as much of this rubble out as possible to find some survivors, hopefully, but just look at it. It's just hell.
Footage from inside shows people in the shops, and survivors told us they were inside working. And a symbol of Ukrainian resistance was regained this week. Snake Island is the strategic outpost in the Black Sea, occupied by Russia since February 24. Defenders of the island at the time became national heroes for responding to Russian calls to surrender with an expletive. Ukraine bombed them off the island Thursday, satellite imagery confirming Putin's forces retreated. Ukrainian General Hromov announcing that, quote, after failing to withstand Ukraine's artillery fire, missile and airstrikes, the enemy, Russian occupiers, left Snake Island. Russia's battleships and submarines still dominate the Black Sea, but the retreat makes an amphibious attack on Odessa more difficult for Putin. Russia calling the move a gesture of goodwill to enable grain exports, but there is no sign of that happening. And now Russia claims to control the whole of Luhansk. That's one of the 2 breakaway regions of the Donbass, prolonging this conflict. At the NATO meeting in Madrid this week, President Biden reaffirmed U.S. support.
We are going to stick with Ukraine, and all of the alliance are going to stick with Ukraine as long as it takes.
And new U.S. help announced this week includes more offensive weapons and all-important missile defense systems. If Putin's intention was to limit NATO's scope, the opposite is happening. Turkey dropped its opposition to Finland and Sweden joining the alliance, and the U.S. is ramping up its presence in the region, establishing a permanent U.S. military headquarters in Poland, sending 2 more F-35 squadrons to the UK, adding 2 U.S. Navy destroyers to Spain, and deploying personnel and equipment to Italy and Germany. With many analysts predicting the war has months to run, invariably there will be questions about how long the West will be willing to cover the cost of their support, and is the military aid enough to turn the tide, or simply force Russia into negotiations?
Now, there's been some debate over what exactly it is that Russia is trying to hit, civilian or military. But for Ukraine, this is an unjust war. This is an unprovoked invasion. So it makes no difference, military or civilian. There are no legitimate targets in this country as far as Ukraine is concerned. Martha?
Thanks, James. We know you will continue to watch this.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.